Welcome everyone to the August session of Dr. Jaspersoft. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Apologize for the relatively short notice on this session, but we're here and we've got a good one for you today. We're going to be talking about the custom visualization component, and just wanted to just a couple of ground rules, if you will. We are very happy and to accept questions from you. Please use the Q&A button on your Zoom webinar meeting there and type your question in for us. We're going to save all the questions until the end of the session, till after our presentation, and we'll get to the questions there and we'll answer as many, if not all, the questions as we can. Also, I've added a poll for this session. I'm going to launch it right now, and you can take your time. I'll leave it open for the whole session, but what we'd like is for you guys to take a vote on potential future topics for Dr. Jaspersoft. We want to do things that make sense for you and things that might be interesting to you. So you can vote for multiple items. They're just a sampling of some of the topics that we've discussed internally that we'd like to cover in future sessions. So feel free to vote for sessions that sound interesting to you. If there's something on that list, or there's nothing on that list that's interesting and you have something else you want us to talk about, go ahead and put it in a Q&A as a question. We're fine with that too. So without further ado, let's see, we're going to hand it over today to Rekha Narayan. She is one of our senior professional services consultants, lead consultant on our team, who is going to present the custom visualization component with some demos and some good stuff. Rekha has been working on the CVCs for a while, so she's our resident expert, and we're going to bring her in now. Let's see. Oh, and if there's any other questions you guys have, we'll reiterate this at the end of the session that aren't covered during the session, or you think of it afterwards. Feel free to email us at drjasper@tipco.com. We'll show you that address again on the last slide of the presentation. So just like I said, you can always reach out to us, ask us any questions. We'll give you some other methods to reach out as well. So Rekha, you're with us. Go ahead and you can take over now.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to have this session. We're going to talk about custom visualization component today. Here is the agenda for the day. We're going to see about what is a custom visualization component, what makes up a custom visualization component, what are the prerequisites, a quick demo, some quick prescriptions based on our experience, and a Q&A. So let's get started. So what is a custom visualization component? We always call it a CVC. You'll hear me calling it a CVC a couple of times during the session. So Jaspersoft already has a variety of charts available, but if there is something that you need custom, something that's already not there in this HTML5 component, that's where you can bring in your custom visualization component. And custom visualization component is very powerful and a flexible feature. This allows use of custom JavaScript and also for you to create your custom visualizations in reports and make your dashboards really, UI driven. The component itself does nothing, but what you really need is you need to pass in this JavaScript file, which will be used by the custom visualization component to generate a specific SVG. And you could use advanced JavaScript libraries such as D3, Raffle, jQuery, and others to create a powerful visualization and animations in your report. So we will look shortly of what this is. So what makes up a custom visualization component? As I said before, it's a JavaScript file. You can write your entire JavaScript library in there, or you could use external JavaScript libraries, and you can also use some custom CSS to modify the look and feel of your CVC, and that's pretty optional. The prerequisite, you need to install Phantom.js to render the JavaScript's module's visual component. And you also have to configure the Jaspersoft Studio and Jaspersoft Report server to use Phantom.js. And let's go to a quick demo of what you're trying to do today. So before that, I want to show you Jaspersoft already has a variety of charts available. So anytime you want to use something beyond this is where you will get the custom visualization component comes in. One of the examples I want to show today is this report that I built out. So this is a pretty sample monthly profit report that I have built out. And you can see there's a liquid gauge coming out here with a floating fill, and this is a custom visualization component. And I mean, you could go to the D3 library, and if there are any other visualization components that you like you could add that as well. So but for today's session, what I'm going to focus on is how you build a simple CVC. So in this case, we will be building out a liquid gauge and see how that works. So to get started with that, what I'm going to do is we'll go step by step. So let's go and create a custom visualization component. You go to File. So this is the Jaspersoft Studio for folks who are new. The Jaspersoft Studio is a tool where we build out our reports. So this is Jaspersoft Studio based out of Eclipse. So we go to File, New, click on Other. And there you will find under the Jaspersoft Studio category, you will find the custom visualization component. This is one of the ways to get started, but this is a really quick start. So you don't have to build things from the scratch. So let's do next. Let's call it the CVC. Gosh, that's good. And we can call our module also as the same. So in this case, I'm just going to get started with the D3 library. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do today, and you could really add in a thumbnail and description. I will skip this for now, but this is really this will create an advanced JSON file where you can specify the thumbnail, etc. So let's click on next. This uses the D3 library. So let's accept the licenses of this and click on finish. Let's wait for this to finish. All right. Close this. And here is my CVC component that's being created. So this already comes in with a sample GRXML file within it. So let's start with it. So let's open this up. So let's go to the source. Here you see that this is the CVC component that's been embedded inside your JavaXML already in for you. This is a quick starter point for you to get started. So as you see, this CVC points to a JavaScript file, the JavaScript module, and any optional CSS that we would like to include in here. So this is the CVC component already coming in for us. So what we're going to do is inside this JavaScript, we're going to call in the liquid gauge library, the D3 library and the liquid gauge library to help us, create this CVC in here. So this is created in here. Let me go ahead and just add in a text box just to tell the title of this. And I just like to use the magic buttons. Okay. Call it a CVC demo. Okay. And so this is my CVC component. You might not really see any UI for this component because the look and feel is what the JavaScript is going to provide. So before we go to that, we have something called the build.js. So this is required to create a minified version of the library for us. So any external libraries that you add, you'll have to reference it in here so that you can build your entire component. So all the libraries that you need are loaded much before this module is called. So for my example, I will be using jQuery and the liquid gauge library, and also the D3 is already included in for us. So it's really not a must for you guys to use the D3 library, but this is just a sample, so you could use any library that of your choice. So let me do an import, and in this case, I'm just using the jQuery and the liquid gauge library. Click on finish. So I have imported these two libraries into my system. So the first thing I need to make sure that the build.js knows about these libraries. So let me really go and add that quick. I do have a quick template. So what I'm going to do is, before building out this module, go ahead and include jQuery and this liquid fill gauge library for me, and also the D3 library. So this makes sure all my libraries are in here, and this is called the build.js. And the file that really is rendering the the liquid gauge is the cvc gauge.js. This is the file that we just saw in here. Our component, what was it referring? It refers the minified version. So we'll have to modify the JavaScript file and create an optimized version for this for better performance. So I've opened this file, and because we're using this boilerplate, it already came in with, this is really creating a circle out. So the first step for us will be to go ahead and include the modules that we just added. So let me just grab that real quick. All right, so the first step is to include the modules that you need. Okay, I needed these two modules. And the next part, what I'm going to do is really simple, is to just go and build out this gauge out. So what this really has in here, I just have the code ready for a quick demo. And I'll walk you over through it. So this is just creating an SVG component, and here I have some settings, how do I want to fill my gauge. For now, I do have a static value in here of 52%, and that's it. So you could really put in any of your custom JavaScript and render it. So in this case, I'm creating an SVG and I'm attaching it to the instance data, and that's coming in from the report. So, and this entire thing will be rendered back in your report. So let me click on save. So telling this again, so this is just the setting for the liquid gauge, and this is just that I'm creating a liquid gauge with a 52% in it and with some coloring, which is already configured in here. All right, so just modifying this file will not do. So the most important for us is to go ahead and build the component. So it'll create a new version of the min.js. So let me go ahead and click on build.js, right click and click on build component. So you can go to your console in here, and you will see, so you might not be seeing anything in here and we were wondering where is this, but here you look like there are more options. So you need to go and select that custom visualization console. In case you're not able to see your console in here, what you need to do is go to your window, show view, other, and go to general and pick up your console if you're not able to see that. I think, seeing this console is pretty important, because if there was some compilations error in your JavaScript, this is going to tell you. And you need to wait for this to complete. So it's compiling at 60%. Okay, it compiled everything for me, which is good. Another most important thing is all your CVCs are rendered as in a HTML. So I'll change the preview format for this to a HTML. All right. So let's see in here if we got a liquid gauge. Yeah. Let me make it really bigger. Let me cut this down. Ah, all right. Not really able to do a scroll. Okay, never mind. Yeah, here we go. So here we have a liquid gauge we just built out using a D3 library and liquid gauge, and it's really cool because such visualization in your dashboard is really going to add a lot of value to your end users. So another part of my demo, what I want to show today is how do you pass data into this? Okay, I created a static one, but the real world, you need to pass some data into this. So just to keep the demo really simple in here, what we're going to do is I'm going to add an input parameter to this. So I'm going to pass a static value to this, and we'll see the gauge filling up a little differently. So I'll go back to the design. So go back to my outline in here. I think this is good. Let me make this bold. Okay, so go to my parameters in here, right click, create parameter. Okay. And all right, so let me call this as profit, and this is good. And let me make this a float, because that's a number that I'm trying to pass in, which is good. So I have created a parameter called profit in here. And in this case, this is my CVC component. I need to pass in this parameter as the data. So what I'll be doing is there's something called the data tab. In case you see this properties window hiding, you don't see it, make sure you scroll over. There are some tabs there. So you'll see this data tab in here. If you look at this also, you'll see that it's referring to three things in here. The script, the module it has to run, and the CSS it's working with. So this is where you'll be adding your parameter or your input data as well. So in this case, I'm just doing a parameter, but you could just do a data set. It could just pass in a lot of values to your CVC, and you could render things very differently. In this example, to keep it simple, I am only passing a parameter. Click on add. The first thing on my data set is to tell, okay, what data set should I use? In this case, I'm using the main report data set. I'll go to my items, click on add. Click on add again. Let me call this as profit. I'll click on use expression, and you need to make this a little bigger. And here I'm referring to the input param. It's $P, is that's how it's defined, and this is my name of my parameter. All right. So this is set. So I'm passing this data in here. You click on OK, you'll see how this has been parsed in. Click OK. So now I'm passing it from the Jaspersoft component, but I need to write the code to get this data into the script. So let's go back to our script in here. Let me grab something really quick. Oh, I have it in here. Okay. So the way you do it is everything that's coming in as a data set from your report is a part of this instant data.series. So if you're not very sure of what this is coming as, I will show you could just do a console log of this for during your development and check what is this. So in this case, I know that this is the instant data and this is a series, and I know that this is the first series that I'm passing, and I'm passing only one element in that array. So I just have one element in here. So what I'm going to do is, this is my variable, and here I'm going to tell instead of a value, I'm going to pass in this. So in this case, what's going to happen is whatever is my input parameter that's being passed in, that's going to be showing up in my gauge. So what I did, I changed the JavaScript file. So what should I do now? I should go ahead and build my component. Otherwise, it's not going to get my changes in. So right click and click on build component. Go to the console. Okay. All right. my component is building, and you'll see that percentage being built out in your rightmost corner in here. So let's give it a minute for this to build. Hopefully I don't have any errors in there. All right, it's almost there. All right, this is done. So let's click on preview and let's pass in something. So let's pass in 48. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys to see. And that's the 48%. So this is like any data that you pass in could be, let's do a 35. And the gauge is filling up at a 35%. So this could be coming, this data could be coming in from any of your variables, from any of your data sets. This is just an example of how you use create a CVC to embed it inside your report. So it could just be a part of your report that you're trying to build out. And this is one of the visualizations that you could get. The other point I would really like to make is to look at your build.js. I think we already spoke about this, but just make sure you're having all your libraries in here. So that's good. And make sure you always build your components. This was the simple demo using the Jaspersoft Studio to, to create out a sample CVC. And what I would like to show you is you could really create much more animations in your report. And I have an example for you guys so that, so here I have an example which was really built using a Google Map JavaScript library. And this calls the Google JavaScript API and just uses the CVC. So you see this animation of the car moving. So this was just built out of CVC. So you can really imagine any animations in your reports that you will need, or any visualizations in your report which is not already in Jaspersoft. It's not a part of the chart components. This is something that you could utilize. And you'll see so what's happening in the background in here is every 10 seconds there's a timer running in here. It's going to get the latest position of the car, and depending on the position of the car, it's going to animate it by moving it in a delayed millisecond. So you'll see this animation of the car moving, and this was done using CVC and JavaScript, and I'm using the Google Map library for this. Coming back to the presentation. So the key prescriptions. So the first thing is to launch Jaspersoft Studio as an administrator, or users with folders with the right access while creating CVCs from starter templates. Because if you do not launch it as an administrator, it doesn't allow this write permission, and it's not going to work for you. So make sure you launch it as an administrator. And every time the JavaScript files are modified, you must build your component. Without rebuilding the component, the new changes are not applied into the CVC. The other thing is you need to open the window. I mean, if you're not seeing the console, you need to go to window, other, and check your consoles for the build log messages. We saw that. And any repo that uses a CVC should be launched in a preview mode as a HTML formatted in your Jaspersoft Studio. Another quick bite I have not put in here, which I would like to show you, is when you're running our reports, especially during your development, you don't know what's happening. You'll see this HTML coming in, so you could copy this and put this into your browser, and you'll have this running here. And you can also go to the developer tools, and you can add console anything that you would like. So if you really don't know how to get what data is coming in from your report, how to map it, just make sure you go ahead and just log this component in here. You could just log this component, the instant data.series of 0 component. If at all you map this component in your console, you'll get a quick way to handle what data is being passed in. Have I passed it right? Is the data coming in? And you could really debug really well. Coming back to this, I think we finished our quick expressions, and I think we are ready for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Rekha. That was awesome. Yeah, so just looking right now, we have one question so far. Any of you out there who have questions, feel free to use the Q&A button down there. I see something coming in chat. That's fine. We'll answer that as well. But if you can, try to put them in the Q&A section, because then we can track and log the questions that way. And also, don't forget, there's a poll out there for those of you that want to take a vote as to what future topics you may want to see here at Dr. Jasper. So let's get on to the questions. The first one, Rekha, is a good one. Will the source code be available for any of these demos at some point? Do you have a way we could send out any of these samples to folks, Rekha?
Yeah, I think especially the liquid gauge one, we should be able to do that. We could create a public GitHub resource is what I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a great idea. Those of you that are interested in getting the source code for this, what I would suggest is you send an email to drjasper@tibco.com, and we can then send you a link to the GitHub once Rekha gets that set up. So that's a great question. Thank you, Eric, for that. Another question, are the various CVCs like third-party controls? What is the impact when used? And then there are updates to the CVC. How will one be notified?
so in this case, if there's a third-party library that you're using, so it's the onus on the user to figure out the updates of the library. Usually I would recommend you download those JavaScript libraries to make it faster. So it's the onus of whoever is using this or to use a third-party library to figure out the updates on that.
Right. So yeah, so these are things that we don't control, those third-party libraries, but the idea is you can use any one you want. Kind of to keep track of that stuff though, right? All right. Another question, is the wave control embedded into the monthly profit report as a sub-report? You understand that one?
Yeah, it's a good question. That is a CVC component. That's just a small CVC component that I did in. Yeah. So you could just, it's not a sub report, it's a part of your main report, but you could make it a part of your sub report as well. So just like any of those palette control you use, it's like a static text box, it's similar to that.
Right. And I want to show something, Rekha, if you can stop sharing. I'm going to just share my screen real quick. There is a demo, publicly available demo out there that you guys can take a look at, and we can put this URL in the chat window. But this Urban Roast demo, it's a few years old now, but this is where we started using these guys. And I remember when our marketing guys first put this together, I thought, wow, these are amazing. And I think this is a really good example of how to use these custom visualization components, especially the ones Rekha showed today. So you see, this is kind of the idea is this is like a coffee company that shows various ingredients and ratings of coffee blends and stuff like that. And you could see, some data that's actually getting pulled in to say like how, the percentage of ship, percentage to profile, on goal, and so on. And these are actually built, I believe, this might actually be a dashboard here, but it could be done, like Rekha said, as a sub-report. You could have a dashboard with multiple reports in here. Any way that you want to do it, they're just built in just like a regular component in any Jaspersoft report. So if you guys want to go out, that link I put on the chat window goes directly to this page. It actually begins with a sort of a neat little use of other components here, where you can kind of play with mixtures and do neat kind of interactive things here, and check the ingredients for various brews and that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty neat little demo. It is a couple of years old, so it hasn't been updated a whole lot. There might be some issues there, but it does make use of some of those CVCs. So I just wanted to share that too, because that made me think of that when you were presenting.
Yeah, that's how you make your UI really, impressive.
Right. So They are real, I mean, they're eye catchers. Some of the CVCs are real eye catchers, and people love them. So they're great. So any other questions? I think we've answered all the questions here. Let's see, actually, quick, let me just present, where did my Zoom window go? Share my screen again. All right, so those are the Q&As, and you saw the links there. So if there aren't any further questions, just a little plug for our next session, which will be September 10th. Again, it's the second Thursday of every month. I believe the next session is going to be about key store files in version 7.5, which has been something that's tripped up a fair amount of folks that have been using the latest version of Jaspersoft. So if you're interested, please sign up. Look out for the sign up. We'll be sending the email out hopefully in the next week or so for the next session. And then again, I'll reiterate, any questions that come up after, or if you're watching this video recorded, it is on our YouTube channel, be posted to our Dr. Jasper playlist on the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions after watching this video that weren't answered here, please email us at drjasper@tipco.com. You can also post a question in our community site, here at the community.jaspersoft.com/answers. And if you tag hashtag Dr. Jasper, that will come directly to me, and we'll get those questions answered for you there as well. So just one more check, no more questions. All right, well, thank you all very, very much for attending again on short notice. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Dr. Jasper session. All right. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.